You have walked long seasons that felt like a rehearsal. Quiet mornings spent praying over ledgers and resumes. Nights of patient trust when doors you knew you'd earn remained firmly shut. You did not fail by your own hand. You were not careless or uncommitted. Something greater was aligning, and now a new sound is rising. The unmistakable stirring of divine favor. Imagine a single opening, a hinge swinging wide at once, not a slow drip, but a decisive, supernatural pivot. It arrives like wind that rearranges the sails. It does not come in pieces, but as a whole, shifting stalled finances, readjusting relationships, and accelerating the course of your destiny in ways you could not manufacture. People begin to notice you. Opportunities once blind to your presence turn and orient toward you. Barriers dissolve as if stamped by a divine signature. This is not luck. This is prophetic alignment, the kind that carries authority and purpose. You are being positioned where favor can find you. The season of quiet was not empty. It was formation. In those unseen moments, you learned patience without compromise, humility without bitterness, and faithfulness without applause. God entrusts breakthrough to hands that know how to steward it. Favor requires a posture, one that receives with gratitude and manages with wisdom. Prepare your heart now to receive and to steward what follows. Expect clarity where there was confusion. Expect speed to replace delay. Expect your financial story to be recalibrated, sometimes gently, sometimes dramatically. What was stuck will move. What felt distant will draw near. Hold steady, for this shift is not chaotic. It is intentional and measured, designed to place you where legacy can be built. I want to hear from you. What would you do first if one open door changed everything for your family? Share a reflective comment below. Truths, fears, and hopes. Stay with me for the next video where we will unpack practical steps to steward this favor well. You have walked long corridors of patient waiting, carrying hope like a quiet lamp, and now the air begins to change, subtle at first, then unmistakable, as if a hinge you could not see is releasing. This is not the slow drip of progress. This is a pivot, a supernatural turn that arrives all at once, opening a single door that unlocks many rooms. Stalled finances begin to flow, strained relationships reposition, and the path of your calling finds fresh momentum. You feel it like a soft wind at the back of your neck. Favor is moving toward you. Notice how the ordinary people in your orbit start to look up and take notice. How opportunities that once passed you by now find their way to your doorstep. There is a divine signature on these moments, an intentional alignment that cannot be manufactured by hustle or plan. You were trained in the quiet seasons, tempered by patience, refined by faith, and everything you endured becomes the evidence that prepares you to receive what is coming. This favor chooses those who learn to wait without compromise. Breathe in this truth slowly. This is not mere luck. It is stewardship waiting to be claimed. With the opening comes responsibility, to guard your heart, to manage increase with wisdom, to honor the doors that swing wide. The same hand that opens will invite you to steward well, so that what moves now does not scatter, but multiplies and anchors your future. Expect clarity where there was confusion. Expect speed where there was delay. Expect recalibration of your financial story, because God's favor is not incremental here. It is decisive. As you stand at the threshold, allow curiosity to rise. What single door do you sense opening for you now? Share one sentence below that names it. Your honesty invites both community and confirmation. In the next video, we will unfold practical ways to steward this favor, so you can receive not just the blessing, but the wisdom to keep it. You have walked long corridors of effort and quiet sacrifice, carrying bills, responsibilities, and the small, steady faith that kept you showing up. In those nights when answers seemed distant, you learned to wait without losing who you are. Now, listen. Favor is not a slow drip, it is a pivot. It comes like a single hinge swinging open, releasing movement where there was none. Imagine one door opening and, suddenly, the rooms you thought closed begin to breathe again. This opening will not merely tweak what you already have. It will reposition you. People who overlooked your gifts will begin to notice. Conversations that once skipped your name will bend toward you. Finances that crawled will find new pathways. Opportunities will arrive with a speed that feels supernatural. But favor does not arrive to keep you comfortable. it arrives to be steward. God is entrusting this moment to those who learned fidelity in the ordinary. The way you held fast, quietly, is the very reason you are being handed this public shift. Prepare now. Clear the clutter in your life that competes for attention. Unresolved accounts, hesitations, alliances that disguise compromise. Make space in your schedule and heart for clarity. Write down the next right steps, not out of frantic trying, but from sober listening. Seek wise counsel. Let honest voices sharpen your next moves. Be ready to give as well as receive. Generosity often marks those whom favor finds. Above all, guard humility. Favor accelerates destiny, but stewardship keeps it from turning into pride. Feel the gentle rush of expectancy. This is a recalibration of your financial story, but also of your relationships and influence. What was stuck will move. What was distant will draw near. Receive this as both promise and task, a gift meant for careful hands and courageous obedience. Curiosity. What if this favor arrives in a single moment? What would you do first? Reflect and write one sentence below about how you will steward what comes. Watch the next video to learn practical, spiritual steps to steward this opening with wisdom. You have been held in the quiet place long enough to know the sound of waiting. Soft, steady, disciplined. Now that waiting shifts. It does not simply end, it culminates. You will feel a gentle turning, a pivot so precise it feels like the universe itself has been keyed to your story. Opportunities that once slid past you begin to bend in your direction. Conversations that used to close without a second thought now open doors. This is not a slow drip. It is a doorway thrown wide by a hand you did not see, a favor that arrives with divine timing and unmistakable clarity. You are being repositioned. People start to notice the consistency of your walk, the integrity of your choices, the faithfulness of your stewardship. That attention will translate into realignment. Stalled finances make room. Relationships that were misaligned find new rhythm, and assignments that felt out of reach come within grasp. Expect speed where there was delay, and expect discernment to accompany acceleration. God's favor does not simply give you more, it gives you better placement. Stewardship becomes your daily work. The favor you receive asks for wise hands and a surrendered heart. Protect what is entrusted to you by praying discernment into every decision, seeking counsel, and practicing generosity even in small things. Remember, the favor is a responsibility as much as it is a gift. It will expand not only your pockets but your influence, and you will be held accountable for both. You were prepared in the quiet seasons for this public shift, so do not rush it. Receive it with thanksgiving, act with wisdom, and guard your heart against the rush to spend or boast. Let this supernatural opening recalibrate your financial story toward legacy, not just relief. Curious what the first unmistakable sign of this favor will look like in your life? Share a short, reflective comment below about what you're ready to steward. In the next video, we'll pinpoint the practical first steps to take when favor arrives. So be ready to move with clarity. You have stood at the threshold long enough to feel the draft of what is coming. For seasons you labored with integrity, sowing time, talent, and resources into places that did not yet open. Those seasons were not wasted. They were the quiet training ground. Now, a favor from God approaches like a rising tide, swift, singular, unmistakable, and it will lift what has been dry. This favor does not come as slow increments, but as a decisive turn. In a single moment, blocked accounts begin to breathe, stalled conversations shift toward yes, and the map of your future redraws itself with a new route. People who once overlooked you will look again, not by coincidence, but by a divine signature that says, "This one is ready." You are being repositioned where favor can find you, and where it finds you, destiny begins to accelerate. But there is a stewardship that accompanies this kind of opening. Favor is trust disguised as opportunity. God hands you a key. What you do with it reveals the readiness of your heart. Stewardship looks like humility in success, wisdom in decisions, generosity in increased capacity, and discipline in management. It asks you to protect what is given, to seek counsel before spending, and to sow portions of blessing so the cycle of favor continues. Faithfulness in small things prepared you for this large thing. As this pivot unfolds, cultivate clarity. Write down the priorities that matter. Discern the doors to walk through and the ones to close. Hold speed with wisdom. The acceleration will tempt rashness, but the wise temper swiftness with prayer and counsel. Receive the favor with gratitude, and let that gratitude shape your decisions. Curious about how this favor will first show up for you? Pause and reflect. What is one tangible way you will steward a sudden increase? Share it in the comments. Your answer may unlock someone else's understanding. In the next video, we'll unpack practical first steps to protect and multiply this favor so it reshapes your financial story. You have carried the quiet seasons like a hidden lamp, faithful, patient, sometimes heavy with unanswered questions. Now, feel this. Favor is arriving not as a slow drip, but as a single, unmistakable turning of a key. Imagine a door that would not budge for years swinging wide from a push that you did not manufacture. This is not coincidence. It is a divine authorization that rewrites stalled finances, repositions relationships, and accelerates the path you have walked so carefully. When favor finds you, it comes with clarity. Confusion that clouded your decisions begins to lift. Opportunities you once chased now seek you. Doors open precisely where you expected them to stay closed. People notice what has been hidden, not because you suddenly became loud, but because the atmosphere around you has shifted, prophetic alignment meeting faithful preparation. You were not passive and waiting. You were being formed to steward what comes next. Stewardship matters now more than ever. Favor is not a trophy, it is a trust. How you manage this sudden shift will set the course for long-term increase. Honor the lessons learned in silence. Integrity in small things, generosity when it feels costly, and discernment before you say yes. Move with humility and courage, because the same hand that opened the door will invite you to lead with wisdom. Expect speed, but keep a steady heart. Miraculous openings can feel overwhelming. Breathe, pray, and let God's clarity guide each step. Recalibration of your financial story does not erase responsibility, it amplifies it. Your calling will be amplified, your resources redirected, and relationships repositioned to support a higher purpose. Curiosity. What single door do you sense is about to open in your life? Share one honest sentence in the comments about how you will steward this favor. In the next video, we will explore practical spiritual rhythms, discernment, boundaries, and generosity that help you keep what heaven entrusts. You have walked through seasons where every effort felt like pressing against a locked door. You worked, you sowed, you waited, and still the doorway stayed shut. Now hear this clearly. Favor is not arriving as a slow trickle, but as a single, decisive opening. It is a supernatural pivot that turns what was frozen into movement, that unlocks finances, repositions relationships, and accelerates your destiny in a way you could never manufacture. You are being positioned right now. The quiet preparation of your heart, the faithfulness in small things, the nights you chose integrity over easy gain, all of it has arranged you where favor can find you. People who once overlooked you begin to notice. Opportunities that once passed by now pivot toward you. Barriers that felt immovable dissolve as if a divine signature cuts through them. This is not coincidence, and it is not luck. It is intentional, prophetic alignment. But favor asks for a response. It calls for stewardship. What is given in a season of favor demands wisdom, humility, and the same faithfulness that prepared you. You will be entrusted with openings that require discernment, to manage, to multiply, to honor. Prepare your life to steward what follows. Simplify where needed, guard your heart from haste, and let clarity direct your steps. Expect speed, but do not confuse haste with suddenness. Expect clarity, but be ready to act in wisdom. Expect recalibration of your financial story. What was stuck will move, and what felt distant will draw near, rewriting your future in ways you could not force. Now, reflect. Where in your finances do you sense this favor needs to land? Share one area in the comments. An honest word helps prepare your heart and invites prayer. Stay with this moment. In the next video, we will explore practical steps to steward this sudden favor, so you can hold what God is opening without losing what He entrusts. You have been standing in a quiet place, learning the language of patience. You learned to sow when soil looked barren. You learned to trust when doors remained closed. Now the scene is shifting, not by your pushing, but by a sovereign opening, a single, decisive swing of favor that rewrites the calendar of your life. Picture a door that has been bolted for seasons. It has held your plans, your deadlines, and your dreams on the other side. Today, that bolt turns. The release is immediate and supernatural. Money that seemed stalled begins to flow. Relationships that were out of reach reposition themselves. Opportunities that once skimmed past you now align in your pathway. It is not a series of slow, drip-fed improvements. It is a pivotal, unmistakable turn, an acceleration you did not manufacture, but that now becomes your experience. Favor finds you where you are hidden and lifts you into a place of visibility. People begin to notice. Conversations redirect toward you. Keys you needed are placed in your hand. Doors do not just open, they swing wide with a sense of divine timing. You feel the pace of your life changing. Clarity replaces confusion. Speed replaces delay. The narrative of lack is being edited into a testimony of provision. But this favor asks for stewardship. It is entrusted to the hands that were faithful in the waiting. God is not simply handing out advantage. He is entrusting responsibility, wisdom to manage increase, humility to guard influence, and generosity to multiply blessing. Where you once felt unready, you are being prepared. The quiet lessons, the character forged in the wait, become the capacity to steward what comes. Receive this word with expectancy. Stand ready to say yes to clarity, to move with speed, and to steward well. Watch for the single, supernatural shift that makes what was stuck begin to move. If this stirs your spirit, pause and share in the comments. What one area are you ready to steward differently when favor arrives? Stay with us. The next video unfolds how to recognize the first signs of this shift. This is the place where your waiting becomes witness. You have carried seasons of quiet work and faithful restraint. You learned to plant when no one watched. You learned to trust when doors remained closed. Now, something different stirs. Not a slow, polite knock, but a sudden, sovereign opening. A pivot that rearranges your path and accelerates what has been stalled. You will feel it as a repositioning. People who overlooked you begin to look again. Conversations that once stalled now slide forward with unexpected ease. Financial doors that resisted hinge open, not because of your striving, but because of favor, divine and decisive, has found you. This is not luck. It is intentional. It is alignment. It is God handing you not just opportunity, but the authority to steward it well. Stewardship is the currency of this season. What you receive must be handled with faithfulness. Guard your heart against haste and entitlement. Ask for wisdom before decisions. Celebrate the increase, but keep your hands clean and your motives clear. The favor you are given will demand integrity, discernment, and a generous spirit. When you manage small things with truth, the gates swing wide for greater responsibility. Brief. Let the pace slow. Expect clarity to come before speed. Expect doors to open in ways you couldn't orchestrate. Expect relationships to realign and finances to recalibrate. And remember, this opening was prepared by your quiet endurance. The hard nights trained you to hold the gift without breaking it. So step forward with humble confidence. Receive what the Lord releases. Steward it with a grateful, wise heart. Watch the stalled threads of your story begin to knit into a new tapestry. Curiosity. What door do you sense is about to open in your life? Reflect with us below. Share one small sign you've noticed in this season that tells you favor is arriving. When you're ready for the next word, go to the next video.